It began without warning. The sky, once a peaceful blue, was suddenly filled with vast, ominous shadows. Alien ships, sleek and terrifying, appeared out of nowhere, blocking out the sun. There was no time to prepare. The world watched in horror as they descended upon major cities, their weapons raining down with destructive force. Buildings crumbled, fires spread like wildfires, and the skies filled with the wail of sirens. It was a sight that humanity had only ever seen in nightmares. At first, there was confusion. No one knew who these invaders were or what they wanted. The world's governments scrambled to respond, but the alien technology was beyond anything they had ever encountered. In the first few hours, military forces tried to mount a defense, but their weapons barely made a dent. The invaders were simply too advanced, their ships too powerful, and their firepower far superior. Entire fleets were obliterated with a single strike. It was clear, humanity was outmatched. Within days, the global population watched in terror as cities across the planet fell. In New York, Tokyo, London, and Paris, the heart of human civilization, the invaders decimated everything. Governments fell, military commands were cut off, and Earth was thrust into chaos. Panic spread as millions of people fled for their lives, only to find that nowhere was safe. The aliens had come to take what they wanted, and they did not care who stood in their way. But amid the chaos, something extraordinary began to unfold. Though overwhelmed by fear, something in humanity stirred. Across the globe, people refused to give in. Groups of civilians, soldiers, and scientists, people from all walks of life, formed resistance cells. They didn't have the advanced weapons the aliens had, nor the technology to match them, but they had something far more powerful, an unbreakable will to survive. In basements, bunkers, and hidden corners of the world, plans were made. They would fight back. The first sign of hope came from a small group of soldiers in the ruined city of Chicago. They had been left behind when the city was abandoned, written off as lost. But these soldiers didn't know how to quit. Using old military equipment and whatever they could scrounge, they began mounting hit-and-run attacks on the alien forces. At first, it was small victories. An ambush here, a sabotage there. But it sparked something in the hearts of the survivors. It wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about defiance. News of these small victories spread quickly, and soon, people across the world took notice. In underground bunkers, people watched broadcasts of the resistance, their spirits lifted by the sight of human courage in the face of insurmountable odds. Scientists and engineers from every country began collaborating, working day and night to understand the alien technology, reverse engineering what they could. It was clear now. Humanity might have been caught off guard, but they were not ready to give up without a fight. The invaders, meanwhile, underestimated the resistance. They believed humanity was too fractured, too divided to mount any significant opposition. They thought that once they crushed the major cities, the rest of the world would submit. But the invaders didn't understand what they were dealing with. Humans were more than just survivors. They were inventors, creators, and fighters, and they would not go quietly into the night. As the invaders continued their brutal assault, a new movement began to rise. It was a movement born of desperation, but also of hope. The fight for Earth had just begun, and the humans were ready to show the universe just what they were capable of. The resistance had only begun to take form, but there was one thing everyone knew for sure. Humanity would never stop fighting. As the alien invasion raged on, humanity's survival hung by a thread. Cities were reduced to rubble, and most of the world's military forces had been obliterated. Yet in the darkest corners of Earth, a flicker of hope ignited. Dr. Catherine Ellis, a brilliant archaeologist and scientist, was among the few who still believed that humanity could turn the tide. When the invasion first began, she had been researching ancient civilizations in Egypt. But as the war escalated, she was pulled into a different kind of research, one that would lead her to uncover the key to humanity's survival. In the midst of global panic, a strange discovery was made beneath the surface of the Earth, deep within the ruins of an ancient underground city that had been lost for millennia. A team of survivors stumbled upon the site, hidden far from the invaders' gaze. There, in a chamber that seemed untouched by time, they found something remarkable: an alien artifact of unknown origin. The moment Dr. Ellis laid eyes on it, she felt a surge of energy, as if the object was somehow alive. It was unlike anything humanity had ever encountered, an object that pulsed with power, its surface covered in intricate symbols that no human could understand. The artifact was large, roughly the size of a human body, and it hummed with a quiet, almost imperceptible vibration. Dr. Ellis, recognizing its significance, immediately began examining it. As she and her team analyzed the object, they found that it wasn't merely a relic. It was a device, a strange, complex machine, capable of altering the physical and mental capacities of those who interacted with it. The technology was unlike anything they had ever seen, and it seemed to resonate with an energy that, if harnessed, could give humanity an unprecedented advantage. Dr. Ellis spent weeks deciphering its functions, testing its limits, and trying to understand how it worked. Slowly, she began to realize something incredible. The artifact wasn't just a weapon. It was a key to unlocking the hidden potential within the human race. It appeared to enhance physical strength, mental acuity, and healing abilities in those who came into contact with it. This was the breakthrough humanity had been waiting for. Word of Dr. Ellis' discovery quickly spread, and the Resistance, now coordinated through a series of underground networks, mobilized to take control of the artifact. If they could harness its power, they might just have a fighting chance. But there was a problem. The alien forces, having detected strange energy readings coming from the artifact, began to focus their efforts on locating it. They understood the potential of the device far more than humanity did, and they were determined to capture it. In a desperate race against time, Dr. Ellis and her team worked day and night to reverse engineer the artifact's capabilities, while resistance groups prepared for a large-scale assault on alien strongholds. The battle for the artifact was not just a battle for survival, it was humanity's last hope. As the first skirmishes broke out, humanity began to show signs of resilience. Soldiers enhanced by the artifact's power were able to take down alien patrols and destroy critical infrastructure. But the aliens were not going to give up easily. The invaders, initially confident in their technological superiority, now faced a foe they had not prepared for, a species that had unlocked a hidden power within itself. The first major victory for humanity came when a small Galactic resistance group, armed with new technology derived from the artifact, infiltrated and sabotaged a key alien facility. The aliens, who had assumed their conquest of Earth was inevitable, now found themselves in a battle they hadn't anticipated. The human spirit, bolstered by the newfound power of the artifact, was beginning to turn the tide. The Resistance, once disorganized and ragged, now fought with the strength and unity of a people who had nothing left to lose. As Dr. Ellis looked at the progress humanity was making, she felt a renewed sense of determination. The artifact was not just a symbol of hope, it was a weapon, and it was humanity's weapon. The invaders had made a grave mistake. They had underestimated the power of the human will. And now, humanity would prove that the fight for Earth was far from over. Dr. Catherine Ellis stood before the artifact, the flickering lights of her lab reflecting off its smooth surface. She had spent weeks studying it, piecing together its secrets, and now she was on the brink of a monumental discovery. What she had uncovered was nothing short of extraordinary. The artifact was far more than a simple tool. It was a catalyst, a conduit to an untapped potential within every human being. As she ran another series of tests, she observed something that made her heart race. When certain energy frequencies from the artifact were focused on human subjects, it activated an immediate and profound change. The test subject, a soldier named Adam Hayes, was the first to experience the artifact's power directly. The transformation was instantaneous. Adam's muscles swelled with strength, his reflexes quickened, and his mind seemed to sharpen in ways that were impossible to explain. He stood there, trembling but grinning, as he realized the extent of what had just happened. He felt invincible. Dr. Ellis watched, amazed, as Adam lifted a metal beam with ease, a feat that before the artifact would have been impossible. But it wasn't just his physical strength that had been enhanced. Adam's mind was now capable of processing information at an extraordinary rate, enabling him to anticipate enemy movements and make decisions with a speed and precision that were unheard of. The potential of the artifact was becoming clear. It wasn't just about brute force. It was about unleashing the full spectrum of human capability. Word spread quickly through the Resistance. The first successful human enhancement program had been completed. Now, every human who came into contact with the artifact experienced a rapid, overwhelming surge of power. But there were still unknowns. How far could this power go? What were the risks? Dr. Ellis knew they had to tread carefully. The last thing they needed was to push the human body or mind too far and risk catastrophic consequences. But the promise of what they had just unlocked was too great to ignore. The alien forces, who had been slowly but surely crushing human resistance, were now facing an entirely different kind of foe. Humans, once weak and helpless in the face of advanced alien technology, were now beginning to stand toe-to-toe with the invaders. The first true test of this new power came during a raid on an alien supply depot in the heart of what had once been New York City. A team of enhanced soldiers, led by Adam Hayes, infiltrated the alien stronghold. With the artifact's power coursing through their veins, they moved through the facility like shadows, taking down alien guards with ease. The alien soldiers, who had once been the embodiment of fearsome strength and technology, were now powerless against the enhanced humans. The Resistance was unstoppable. Adam and his team cut a path through the enemy lines, securing the critical supplies and sending a clear message to the invaders. Humanity was no longer just trying to survive. They were now fighting back with everything they had. The news of the successful raid spread quickly. Humanity had scored a significant victory. The invaders, who had once believed their conquest of Earth was inevitable, now found themselves on the back foot. For the first time since the war began, the alien forces were no longer the aggressors. They were reacting to human ingenuity, human strength, and human determination. The balance of power had shifted. But Dr. Ellis knew this was just the beginning. The artifact's power was a double-edged sword. While it gave humans the ability to fight back, it also attracted the attention of the alien leadership. They could no longer ignore the threat posed by humanity's newfound strength. The invaders would undoubtedly launch a counterattack, and it would be far more brutal than anything humanity had faced so far. As the Resistance prepared for the next phase of their fight, Dr. Ellis couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease. The aliens were relentless, and they would not back down easily. But there was one thing she was certain of. Humanity had discovered something powerful, something no alien species could ever anticipate. The artifact had unlocked the true potential of humankind, and now the invaders would learn just how dangerous a species could be when it pushed the limits of its own abilities. The war was far from over, but humanity was no longer fighting from the shadows. They were stepping into the light, ready to take the fight to the heart of the invaders' forces. The Resistance had just witnessed its first major victory, but it was clear that the true test of humanity's resolve was only beginning. The artifact had given them the power to fight back, but now the question was whether humanity could maintain its momentum against the full force of the alien invaders. For Dr. Catherine Ellis, the breakthrough had come just in time. The aliens, realizing that their superior technology was no longer enough to crush humanity's spirit, had begun to retaliate with even more devastating force. They unleashed fleets of new warships, massive bioengineered soldiers, and weapons designed to wipe out the growing Resistance once and for all. But despite their overwhelming power, they could not have predicted what would happen next. Humanity's ingenuity and resourcefulness. The first large-scale counterattack came in the form of a surprise offensive against an alien communications hub located deep within the heart of Europe. The Resistance had pooled its resources from across the globe, and now they were ready to strike. The soldiers, enhanced by the artifact, now highly skilled in combat and capable of feats once thought impossible, were deployed in waves. Adam Hayes, now a seasoned leader, led the charge with a crack team of elite soldiers. Their mission was simple: infiltrate the hub, disable the alien communications, and take control of the facility. Using a combination of guerrilla tactics and the advanced technology gleaned from the artifact, the humans launched a swift and deadly assault on the alien compound. The facility, a sprawling complex guarded by advanced alien drones, was designed to repel any enemy forces, but it had never encountered such tenacious and cunning opponents. The enhanced humans, with their newfound strength and speed, sliced through the alien defenses like a hot knife through butter. Every step of the mission was meticulously planned, but there was also an undeniable element of raw human determination behind their actions. In the heat of battle, Adam Hayes found himself face to face with one of the alien bioengineered soldiers, monstrous, towering figures bred for combat. The creature towered over him, its eyes glowing with a cold, malevolent light. But Adam didn't hesitate. With a roar, he charged forward, his enhanced speed allowing him to close the distance in a flash. The alien tried to strike, but Adam anticipated its move, dodging with impossible agility before delivering a devastating blow. The alien crumpled to the ground, a testament to the power humanity had unlocked. By the time the mission was complete, the humans had not only taken control of the communications hub, but had also gathered valuable intelligence about the alien command structure. It was a huge win, one that sent a ripple of hope through the resistance movements worldwide. The news spread quickly, igniting a renewed sense of purpose among the people. The aliens, who had expected to wipe out humanity in a matter of weeks, were now faced with a new kind of opponent, a species that refused to be broken. In the aftermath of the raid, the resistance continued to build momentum. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, and civilians worked together like never before, sharing their knowledge and skills to develop new weapons, defenses, and strategies. The artifact, once thought to be a mysterious relic, had become the focal point of humanity's new technology. Engineers reverse-engineered the alien technology they had seized, blending it with their newfound human power to create advanced weapons and vehicles that were more efficient, more deadly, and uniquely human in their ingenuity. Humanity's fight back was no longer about survival. It was about reclaiming the Earth and securing a future for generations to come. Resistance forces began to hit alien supply lines, disrupting critical resources and weakening the invaders' ability to maintain their occupation. The tide was turning, and for the first time since the invasion began, the aliens were starting to realize that they were not as invincible as they had once believed. But the invaders were not going to let Earth slip from their grasp without a brutal counterattack. Reports came in of an alien fleet massing on the outskirts of Earth's orbit, poised for a full-scale assault. The humans had achieved something no one thought possible. They had pushed the aliens back. But this victory would not go unanswered. As the resistance prepared for the coming storm, one thing was clear: the battle for Earth had only just begun, and humanity was ready to face whatever came next. The invaders were losing. What had once seemed like a guaranteed victory was rapidly slipping out of their grasp. The power of humanity's will, the spark of resistance, was spreading like wildfire, and the alien forces were beginning to feel the pressure. For every one of their ships that fell, another human squad emerged, armed with alien technology and enhanced by the mysterious artifact. The aliens had miscalculated. They had underestimated humanity's resilience, its ability to adapt, and its fierce determination to protect its home. But the invaders were not so easily defeated. Realizing that the situation was dire, the alien leadership convened in a high-tech war council, a stark contrast to the primitive councils of human generals. They were desperate now, and desperation bred ruthless measures. The aliens decided that if brute force wasn't enough to break humanity, they would resort to terror. They unleashed bioengineered monsters, giant, terrifying creatures bred to sow chaos and fear. These creatures were far beyond anything humanity had encountered before, designed for sheer destruction. They were faster, stronger, and more brutal than the aliens' regular soldiers. As the creatures rampaged through the ruins of cities, the humans were forced to fight not only the alien soldiers, but also these monstrous, nightmare creatures that tore through anything in their path. Entire neighborhoods were leveled as these beasts rampaged, and the resistance had no choice but to shift tactics. It wasn't just about taking down the alien forces anymore. It was about saving humanity from extinction. The aliens' new strategy was calculated to break the human spirit. They aimed to demoralize the survivors, to show them that no matter how hard they fought, Earth was lost. Major cities, including what was left of New York, Paris, and Tokyo, were devastated further. The death toll skyrocketed as the invaders' monsters tore through civilian populations, with no clear way of stopping them. In the midst of this onslaught, Adam Hayes, now one of the leaders of the resistance, found himself on the front lines of a battle unlike any other. As he and his team fought off alien patrols in the ruins of what was once London, the ground beneath them shook violently. A new type of alien creature, larger and more terrifying than anything they had seen, emerged from the depths of the underground. The creature was a giant, towering monstrosity that seemed to absorb the very light around it. Its body was an amalgamation of living tissue and alien technology, with glowing tendrils that lashed out like whips. It had the strength to tear through armored vehicles and the speed to catch even the enhanced humans off guard. The resistance soldiers, bolstered by the artifact's power, fought bravely, but they were no match for the sheer size and terror of this new enemy. Adam and his squad launched a coordinated attack, using everything they had learned about the alien technology. The artifact-enhanced soldiers fought with incredible precision, striking at the creature's weak points. But it was clear that this monster was not something the humans could easily defeat. For every wound they inflicted, the creature seemed to heal, its regenerative capabilities far surpassing anything they had anticipated. In a desperate move, Adam ordered the team to retreat. They couldn't win this fight. Not yet. The human forces needed more time to understand the creature and its weaknesses, but they couldn't waste any more lives in a battle they were not prepared to win. As the squad withdrew, Adam's heart weighed heavy with the thought of the countless people who had already died in the war. Humanity was up against something far more powerful than they had ever imagined. The alien leadership, sensing that they were on the brink of total victory, began to tighten their grip. They issued an ultimatum to the remaining human forces: surrender or face total annihilation. The message was broadcast across the planet in every language, delivered with cold, calculating precision. But humanity was not broken. Even in the face of such overwhelming terror, the human spirit refused to yield. The people, who had already endured so much, now rallied behind the resistance like never before. Civilians joined the fight, bringing their skills and knowledge to the front lines. Scientists worked around the clock to develop new weapons and countermeasures, while engineers worked tirelessly to bolster the defenses. The invaders may have thought they had won, but they were mistaken. Humanity's defiance had only grown stronger. The aliens might have controlled the skies and the seas, but they could not control the will of mankind. The war was far from over, and now, with a newfound determination, humanity would strike back with everything it had. The fight for Earth had entered a new phase, and the invaders would soon learn that they had pushed too far. Humanity had reached a breaking point, and yet it was in the darkest hour that the first glimmer of hope emerged. The alien forces, believing they had crushed human resistance for good, found themselves blindsided as the human spirit, unbroken and relentless, forged a new path forward. Desperation had birthed ingenuity, and now the people of Earth were preparing to unleash their greatest weapon yet, a full-scale counteroffensive. Dr. Catherine Ellis had spent countless nights in her lab, tirelessly working with the artifact, uncovering secrets no one had ever imagined. The artifact's power was not just a physical enhancement, it was something far deeper. Through her research, she discovered that it could amplify the latent abilities within human DNA, not just through brute force, but by unlocking a mental and strategic prowess that could change the course of the war. The aliens had underestimated one thing. They had miscalculated the sheer adaptability of humans when faced with extinction. The Resistance had been quick to recognize this potential, and Adam Hayes, now a seasoned leader with scars of battle across his body, was at the forefront of the strategy. They had found a way to turn the tide, not through brute force, but through a combination of strategy, technology, and the power of human ingenuity. The artifact had been weaponized in a way that no alien force had ever expected. It was no longer just about strength or speed. It was about turning humans into unpredictable tactical minds who could adapt to any challenge and quickly outthink the enemy. The plan for the counteroffensive was set into motion. Resistance cells from across the globe came together, pooling their knowledge and resources. They had learned from the past battles, adapting alien technology and creating new weapons, particularly EMP devices that could disrupt the invaders' advanced electronics, rendering their superior technology useless for a time. The invaders, who had relied so heavily on their technological dominance, were now vulnerable. The first phase of the counteroffensive began with the disruption of alien communication networks. In a move that shocked the invaders, coordinated teams of resistance soldiers, enhanced by the artifact, infiltrated key installations across the world. They used the EMP technology to cripple alien defenses and created mass confusion within the invader ranks. The aliens were disoriented, unable to communicate across their fleet or control their weapons with the usual precision. Then came the strike. Adam Hayes, now leading a formidable force of artifact-enhanced soldiers, launched a direct attack on one of the invaders' most critical strongholds, an enormous fortress ship that had been hovering just outside Earth's orbit. It was here that the invaders' command structure operated, a massive vessel bristling with weapons and shielded from most human attacks. With alien communication systems down and their defenses in disarray, this was the perfect moment for a decisive strike. The attack was swift and brutal. Adam and his team, equipped with reverse-engineered alien technology and their newfound abilities from the artifact, infiltrated the fortress ship using stealth tactics and guerrilla warfare. The invaders, still reeling from the EMP strikes, were slow to mount an effective defense. Adam's team moved like shadows, disabling key systems, neutralizing high-ranking alien officers, and sabotaging critical areas of the ship. In the chaos that followed, the human forces made their most daring move yet. They captured the ship's central command hub. The aliens, stunned by the audacity of the attack, were now faced with a leadership vacuum. For the first time, humanity had inflicted a serious blow to the invaders' chain of command. The news of the successful strike spread like wildfire. Humanity's fightback was no longer a series of scattered victories. It had become a coordinated global counteroffensive. The Resistance now had momentum on their side, and the invaders began to realize just how costly their underestimation of humanity had been. But the aliens, as relentless as they were, had not given up yet. They were regrouping, recalibrating, and preparing to launch a full retaliation against the humans. The war was far from over, and the aliens had one last, desperate weapon in their arsenal, a final, all-out assault aimed at crushing the Resistance once and for all. As the Resistance celebrated its hard-earned victory, the looming threat of the alien counterattack cast a shadow over Earth. The aliens had only just begun to fight back, and the next phase of the war would determine the fate of the planet. Humanity had regained some ground, but now, the true test of their strength and resolve was about to begin. Would they be able to hold on and finish what they started, or would they fall under the crushing weight of the invaders' final push? The answer would come soon, and the world held its breath. The alien forces had regrouped, their resolve hardened by the recent defeats. They now understood that humanity was not an easy prey to be wiped away. The power of the artifact, combined with humanity's relentless will to fight, had proven a dangerous combination. But the invaders were not going to retreat. They were preparing to deliver the final, crushing blow. Their fleet had been massing for weeks, and now they were ready to strike Earth with everything they had. This was the moment that would decide the fate of both species. The Resistance, emboldened by their recent victories, but aware of the overwhelming challenge ahead, rallied their forces. Adam Hayes, standing with Dr. Catherine Ellis, knew this was it, the final battle. They had to hold the line, or Earth would fall forever. The counteroffensive had given them hope, but the alien retaliation would be brutal. They had learned from their previous failures, and now they had to fight smarter, faster, and harder than ever before. In the weeks leading up to the attack, the Resistance had been preparing. They had gathered as much alien technology as they could, reverse engineering it, and integrating it into their own weapons. The humans had even developed a new strategy, using the artifact's power not just for brute strength, but for psychic coordination. Soldiers, now capable of incredible mental feats, could communicate and synchronize their movements without a word spoken. They could predict enemy patterns, anticipate strikes, and act with a precision previously thought impossible. But it wasn't just technology that they were relying on, it was the human spirit. The civilians, once cowering in fear, had become a powerful force. In the aftermath of every alien assault, survivors had rebuilt, learned, and prepared. Every person, from the engineers developing advanced weaponry to the farmers growing food for the Resistance, was now a part of the effort to save Earth. The moment of reckoning arrived with the appearance of the alien fleet above Earth's orbit. The sky darkened with massive ships that seemed to blot out the stars. They had arrived, and they were ready to finish what they had started. Their plan was simple: to obliterate every remaining Resistance force, then use their superior technology to subjugate the entire planet. The invaders had no intention of allowing humanity to rise again. But humanity had one thing the aliens could never understand: unity. In cities across the globe, the Resistance mobilized. Using every tactic they had learned, they launched coordinated attacks on the invaders, striking at their most vulnerable points. Adam Hayes, now a symbol of humanity's indomitable spirit, led the charge. He commanded his squad with the precision of a master strategist. Knowing this battle was more than just a fight for survival, it was the last chance to reclaim Earth. The Resistance launched a devastating assault on the alien fleet, using their newly developed weapons to breach the enemy's shields. Each human ship, enhanced with alien technology, became a deadly force capable of matching the invaders' best. The battle raged in space, the sounds of exploding ships and crackling energy weapons filling the air. It was a dance of death. Human ships dodging alien fire, their weapons finding weak points in the massive ships above. Back on the ground, the battle for Earth's cities had begun. The alien ground forces, desperate to hold on to their gains, sent wave after wave of soldiers and monstrous creatures into the fray. The humans, now enhanced by the artifact, fought with a fury unmatched by anything the invaders had ever seen. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their home, for their families, for the future of their species. But the aliens had one last card to play. They activated a massive weapon that had been hidden on the outskirts of their fleet, a weapon capable of wiping out entire continents. It was their ultimate solution, a weapon designed to break human morale and obliterate all hope. As the device began to power up, it sent shockwaves through the atmosphere, creating massive storms and earthquakes. The destruction was unimaginable. But humanity was not finished. Dr. Ellis, working feverishly in her lab, had discovered the key to neutralizing the alien weapon. It was the final piece of the puzzle. She communicated with Adam, urging him to lead a final strike against the alien weapon, a strike that would either save Earth or doom them all. As Adam and his team made their way to the heart of the alien base, They knew they were walking into the most dangerous mission of their lives. The weight of the world was on their shoulders. If they succeeded, Earth would be saved. If they failed, the invaders would have free rein to finish their conquest. It was now or never. The final push had begun, and humanity was determined to win. The outcome of the war was in their hands, and they would fight to the bitter end. The battle had reached its zenith, and the fate of Earth hung in the balance. As Adam Hayes and his team fought their way toward the heart of the alien base, every step felt like an eternity. The alien weapon, capable of destroying entire continents, was nearing full power, and its destructive potential was unfathomable. But humanity, battered and scarred by years of war, had come this far. They would not turn back now. The alien base was heavily guarded, its walls reinforced with alien technology that made it nearly impervious to any conventional attack. But the resistance had something the invaders could not foresee: their adaptability. Adam's squad, armed with weapons forged from both human ingenuity and alien technology, moved with a silent precision, cutting down guards and disabling alien defenses at every turn. As they neared the core of the weapon, Adam's mind raced. Time was running out. The alien forces had concentrated their efforts here, and with each passing moment, the countdown to the weapon's activation grew shorter. The resistance had learned, adapted, and fought back with everything they had, but now they faced the ultimate challenge. This was the moment that would define their survival. This was the final act. Dr. Catherine Ellis, working remotely from a hidden facility, had discovered the weapon's weak point. The artifact's power had played a crucial role in unraveling the alien technology, and it was through this knowledge that they had found a way to disable the weapon. However, it required a direct connection to the core of the device, a dangerous, almost impossible task. Adam knew it would take everything they had to succeed. The final push was swift and furious. Alien soldiers poured in from all sides, launching waves of attacks that forced the humans to fight harder than ever before. Every enhanced soldier in Adam's team fought with the raw intensity of someone who had nothing left to lose. There was no room for fear. There was only the mission. Reaching the core of the weapon, Adam and his team faced the final hurdle: the massive energy shield protecting the device. It pulsed with alien energy, its glow casting an eerie light over the room. The team worked quickly, setting charges and sensing their efforts to breach the shield. Every moment felt like an eternity as the countdown to destruction continued. But with a final, coordinated push, the energy shield collapsed, and they were in. Adam rushed to the central control panel, his hands moving with practiced speed. The alien device was enormous, but its complexity had been broken down by the knowledge they had gained from the artifact. With the countdown ticking closer, Adam connected his interface to the control system. For a moment, it seemed like nothing would work, but then the screens blinked to life. The weapon's systems began to unravel. Its power core flickered, then shut down entirely. The countdown stopped, but the victory was short-lived. The alien forces, sensing their weapon's failure, launched a final, all-out assault. Their desperation fueled a massive counterattack, sending waves of soldiers and monstrous creatures flooding into the room. Adam's team fought valiantly, but they knew they couldn't hold off the entire alien force forever. In those final moments, as the resistance held their ground, something remarkable happened. Across the globe, humanity rose up in unison. The alien forces had pushed them to the edge, but now the people of Earth had one final chance to reclaim their home. Every last human, from soldiers to civilians, turned the tide of the battle. The resistance forces outside the alien base had already begun their own offensive, and with the weapon now neutralized, they launched an all-out assault on the invaders. The aliens, realizing they had lost their advantage, began to retreat, but it was too late. The human forces overwhelmed them, pushing them back into the stars from where they had come. The war, which had seemed unwinnable just months earlier, was finally over. Humanity had triumphed. The world was forever changed. The sky above Earth was no longer darkened by the alien fleets, and the sound of battle had faded into history. The scars of war would remain, but humanity had fought back, pushing the limits of their strength, ingenuity, and spirit. They had taken their planet back. As Adam Hayes looked out over the horizon, the first rays of the sun breaking through the clouds, he knew that this was just the beginning. Earth was free, but the lessons of this war would echo through the generations to come. Humanity had unlocked a power within themselves that no one, not even the most advanced alien species, could ever understand. And now, they stood at the dawn of a new era, ready to rebuild, to explore, and to ensure that the mistakes of the past would never be repeated. The war was over, but humanity's journey had only just begun.